There are predators in your world, but they don't hunt for flesh. They hunt for energy. They are the friends who offer a compliment that feels like an insult. The family member who claims to be worried about you, but whose concern feels strangely like a judgment. The partner who supports your dreams, but only up to the point where your success threatens to eclipse their own. You feel it, don't you? That subtle, creeping exhaustion after an interaction that should have been nourishing. That quiet, gnawing doubt that settles in your soul after a conversation that was, on the surface, perfectly pleasant. You try to be kind, understanding, evolved. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, that you're reading too much into it, that you're the one who is too sensitive. But what if you're not? What if that feeling is not a symptom of your weakness, but a signal of your strength? What if it is the healthy part of your psyche? The part that has not yet been silenced, screaming at you to pay attention. In the next few minutes, the great psychologist Carl Jung will give you the tools to not only see these emotional predators for what they are, but to understand the far more important question: why you let them hunt you. And I will reveal the one question you must ask yourself that will instantly expose the invisible chains that have kept you tethered to these draining, soul-crushing relationships. Part 1. The anatomy of the emotional vampire. It's a poison disguised as affection, a hug that carries invisible thorns, a smile that conceals a sneer. This is the art of the emotional vampire, the subtle saboteur, the person in your life who cannot stand the sight of your light, and so they have become masters of dimming it in a way that makes you believe you are the one who is broken. They will not attack you directly. They are too clever for that. A direct attack would expose them. It would reveal their envy, their insecurity, their own gnawing sense of inadequacy. So instead, they have perfected the art of the indirect assault, the psychological death by 1,000 cuts. They are the colleague who, upon hearing of your promotion, says, "Wow, you're so lucky." Some people just have everything fall into their lap. The word lucky is the poison. It is designed to negate your hard work, your sacrifice, your talent. It reframes your success as an accident, a fluke, something you did not earn and therefore do not deserve. It is a way of saying, you are not better than me. You just got a lucky break. They are the family member who, after you've spent years working on yourself, on your healing, on your growth, says, you've changed. You're not the same person you used to be. On the surface, it sounds like a neutral observation, but it is not. It is an accusation. The subtext is, you've become distant, you've become arrogant, you've abandoned us. It is a form of emotional blackmail, designed to make you feel guilty for evolving, for outgrowing the box they had put you in. It is a desperate attempt to pull you back into the old dynamic, the one where you were smaller, more manageable, less threatening. They are the friend who is your biggest cheerleader, your most ardent supporter, until you achieve something they have always wanted for themselves. And then, suddenly, the support cools. The congratulations feel hollow. They will find subtle ways to minimize your achievement, to poke holes in your happiness, to remind you of the potential downsides. Are you sure you're ready for that much responsibility? They might ask, their voice laced with a concern that feels strangely like a warning. I just don't want to see you get hurt, they will say, positioning themselves as your protector, when in reality, they are the ones holding the knife. This is the core of the strategy. They weaponize your own empathy against you. They know you are a kind, compassionate person. They know you are willing to give others the benefit of the doubt. And so they exploit that. They create a narrative in which they are the concerned friend, the loving family member, the supportive colleague, and you are the one who is ungrateful, paranoid, or overly sensitive. They are masters of flipping the script. If you try to create distance, you are cold. If you try to set a boundary, you are selfish. If you call them out on their behaviour, you are dramatic. They will position themselves as the victim of your newfound strength, making you feel like the villain for simply trying to protect your own sanity. And because you are a good person, you start to believe them. You start to doubt your own perceptions. You start to think, maybe I am exaggerating. Maybe I am being unfair. And in that moment of doubt, the poison does its work. You silence your intuition. You override your gut feeling. You betray your own soul in the name of keeping the peace, and you go back. You go back for another dose of their toxic affection, another hit of their disguised contempt, another slow, invisible draining of your life force. You have become an accomplice in your own destruction. But the question is not why they do it. The question is why you let them. And the answer to that question is the key to your liberation. Part 2. The mirror of your own wounds. It is a brutal and uncomfortable truth, but it is a truth that will set you free. The people who drain you are not in your life by accident. They are there by invitation, an unconscious invitation to be sure, but an invitation nonetheless. They are mirrors, reflecting back to you the unhealed wounds, the unexamined beliefs, and the unmet needs that you carry within your own soul. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The irritation, the frustration, the exhaustion you feel in their presence is not just about them. It is a message from your own psyche, a distress signal from the deepest part of you, begging you to look within. Perhaps you grew up in a home where love was conditional, where you learned at a cellular level that in order to be loved, you had to be useful, you had to be compliant, you had to be good. You learned to suppress your own needs, to silence your own voice, to make yourself small in order to make others comfortable. Your primary survival strategy was to become a master at anticipating the needs of others, at managing their emotions, at keeping the peace at all costs. And so today, as an adult, you unconsciously seek out people who require this of you. You are drawn to the emotionally needy, the perpetually dissatisfied, the ones who demand your constant attention and validation because that dynamic feels like love to you. It feels like home. The emotional vampire who drains you is simply playing a role that you have unconsciously cast them in, a role that confirms your deepest, most painful belief that you are only worthy of love when you are sacrificing yourself. Or perhaps you grew up with a deep-seated fear of conflict. You learned that disagreement was dangerous, that anger was unacceptable, that setting a boundary would lead to rejection and abandonment. And so you became a master of accommodation. You learned to smile when you were angry, to say yes when you meant no, to pretend that everything was fine when your soul was screaming. And now you attract people who exploit this. The passive-aggressive colleague, the manipulative friend, the guilt-tripping family member. They are all drawn to your fear of conflict like sharks to blood in the water. They know that you will not fight back. They know that you will absorb their toxicity, that you will swallow their poison, that you will do anything to avoid a direct confrontation. And so they use you as a dumping ground for their own unresolved anger, their own repressed envy, their own psychic garbage. And you let them because the discomfort of their toxicity is less terrifying to you than the prospect of a single, honest, boundary-setting conversation. This is the heart of the matter. These people are in your life to show you where you are not yet free. They are external manifestations of your own internal prisons. The person who constantly belittles you is a mirror for the part of you that does not believe in your own worth. The person who drains your energy is a mirror for the part of you that does not know how to protect your own life force. The person who manipulates you with guilt is a mirror for the part of you that is still a slave to the good opinion of others. As long as you are focused on their toxicity, you are missing the point. You are a detective who is so obsessed with the murder weapon that you have failed to notice that the killer is you. Not the part of you that is malicious, but the part of you that is wounded, the part of you that is still living out the survival strategies of a child, the part of you that has not yet learned that you are worthy of love, respect, and protection simply because you exist. And this is why you keep them close, because as long as you can point the finger at them, as long as you can complain about their behavior, as long as you can analyze their every move, you don't have to do the terrifying work of looking in the mirror. You don't have to face your own complicity. You don't have to take responsibility for your own healing, but the universe is patient. It will keep sending you the same person in different bodies until you learn the lesson. And the lesson is this: you cannot change them. You can only change yourself. And that change begins the moment you are willing to face the truth of what their presence in your life reveals about you. Part 3. The invisible war and the cost of staying. You don't need to be in a physical war to be a casualty. You don't need to be screamed at to be wounded. The most devastating forms of destruction are often the most silent. The emotional draining caused by a subtle saboteur is a slow creeping fog that seeps into every corner of your life, so gradually that you don't even notice you're suffocating until it's too late. It is an invisible war, fought not on a battlefield, but in the sacred space of your own psyche. It begins with your confidence. You used to be decisive, clear, certain of your own mind. But after months or years in their presence, you find yourself second-guessing everything. You have an idea, and before you can even articulate it, you hear their voice in your head picking it apart, pointing out the flaws, reminding you of all the ways you could fail. You start to censor yourself in conversations, to water down your opinions, to offer up a more palatable, less threatening version of yourself, all to avoid that subtle look of disapproval, that faint sigh of disappointment, that passive-aggressive compliment that is their weapon of choice. Your world begins to shrink. You stop taking risks. You stop speaking your truth. You become a ghost in your own life, haunting the edges of your own potential. Then it comes for your energy. You wake up tired. You go through your day in a state of low-grade exhaustion. You have no motivation, no drive, no creative spark. You feel like you are running on fumes, but you can't understand why. You're eating well, you're sleeping enough, but you feel perpetually drained. This is not a medical problem, it is a spiritual one. Jung spoke of this psychic energy that flows between people. When you are in the presence of someone who genuinely supports you, who celebrates your light, that energy is amplified. It is a reciprocal exchange that leaves both people feeling more alive, more vibrant, more themselves. But when you are in the presence of an emotional vampire, the flow is only one way. They are a black hole, and you are a star. They feed on your light, on your vitality, on your joy, because they have none of their own. And you, in your misguided empathy, in your conditioned need to please, you let them. You offer up your life force on a silver platter, and you wonder why you feel so empty. Finally, it comes for your soul. This is the deepest and most devastating cost of all. You begin to lose touch with who you are, the person you were before you met them. The person with dreams and passions and a clear sense of self begins to fade. You have spent so long contorting yourself to fit into their world, to manage their moods, to avoid their disapproval, that you have forgotten the shape of your own soul. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back at you. There is a hollowness in their eyes, a sadness that has taken up permanent residence in the corners of their mouth. This is the ultimate victory of the emotional vampire. They have not just drained your energy, they have stolen your identity. And the most insidious part of this entire process is that they will make you believe it is your fault. They will tell you that you are too sensitive, that you are imagining things, that you are the one who has a problem. And because you are already weakened, already confused, already disconnected from your own intuition, you will believe them. You will take the blame. You will internalize their poison. You will become your own abuser. This is the endgame. This is the checkmate. You have been so thoroughly gaslit that you have become a prisoner in a jail of your own making, and you are holding the key in your own hand, but you have forgotten what it is for. But there is a part of you that remembers, a part of you that knows this is not right, a part of you that is still fighting for your life. It is the part of you that feels that flicker of anger, that spark of rebellion, that deep primal urge to say, enough. And that part of you is what will lead you out of the darkness. That part of you is your guide, and it is time to start listening to it. Part 4. The art of psychic self-defense. The moment of realization is a sacred and terrifying thing. It is the moment the curtain is pulled back, the illusion shatters, and you see the game for what it is. You see the subtle manipulations, the disguised envy, the toxic affection. It is a moment of profound pain, but it is also a moment of profound power. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And in that seeing, you are given a choice to remain a victim or to become a warrior. Choosing to become a warrior does not mean you have to engage in a dramatic, confrontational battle. In fact, the most powerful form of psychic self-defense is often the most silent. It is a strategic and deliberate withdrawal of your energy, a conscious and unapologetic reclaiming of your own psychic space. It is not about fighting them. It is about making yourself inaccessible to them. First, you must practice emotional distancing. This is the art of observing their behavior without absorbing it. You see the passive-aggressive comment for what it is, a projection of their own insecurity, but you do not let it land. You hear the guilt-tripping remark for what it is, a desperate attempt to control you. But you do not take the bait. You become an anthropologist of their dysfunction. You study their patterns with a cool, detached curiosity, not with the wounded heart of a victim. You stop trying to explain yourself. You stop trying to make them understand. You stop trying to fix them. You recognize that their behavior is not about you. It is about them, and you are no longer available to be a character in their drama. Second, you must establish clear and non-negotiable boundaries. A boundary is not a wall you build to keep people out. It is a line you draw to define where you end and they begin. It is a declaration of self-respect. It may be a physical boundary, reducing the amount of time you spend with them. It may be a conversational boundary, refusing to engage in gossip, negativity, or their endless cycle of complaints. It may be an energetic boundary, consciously visualizing a shield of light around you before you interact with them. A shield that allows love to flow out, but prevents their toxicity from flowing in. When you set a boundary, you must be prepared for the backlash. They will test it. They will push against it. They will accuse you of being selfish, cold, or unloving. This is the tantrum of a manipulator who is losing control. Do not engage. Do not defend. Do not explain. Simply hold the line. Your actions will speak louder than any words. Third, you must embrace the void. When you begin to distance yourself from these draining relationships, you will feel a sense of emptiness. This is the void that was once filled by their drama, their demands, their constant need for your attention. This void can be terrifying. It can feel like loneliness. It can trigger your deepest fears of abandonment. But this void is also a sacred space. It is the fertile ground in which your true self can finally begin to grow. Do not rush to fill it. Do not seek out another distraction, another relationship, another drama to numb the discomfort. Sit in the silence, befriend the emptiness, and listen. Listen for the quiet voice of your own soul, the voice that has been drowned out for so long. What does it want? What does it need? Who are you? When you are not performing for anyone, when you are not managing anyone, when you are not sacrificing yourself for anyone. Finally, You must actively and consciously reclaim your energy. You must pour back into yourself all the life force that has been drained from you. Reconnect with the things that bring you joy, the things that make you feel alive, the things that you abandoned in order to keep the peace. Read the books you love. Listen to the music that moves you. Spend time in nature. Create something. Do the things that have no purpose other than to delight your own soul. This is not selfish. It is essential. It is the process of remembering who you are. It is the act of coming home to yourself. This is not a journey of revenge. It is a journey of resurrection. It is the process of reclaiming your power, your peace, and your sanity. It is the most important work you will ever do. And it begins now. Let's bring this home. You came into this video feeling drained, confused, and perhaps a little bit crazy. You were a prisoner in an invisible war, a war you didn't even know you were fighting. You now know that your feelings were not an exaggeration. They were a compass pointing you towards the truth. The truth that there are people in your life who do not have your best interests at heart. And the even deeper truth that you have been allowing it. But no more. Your energy is your most sacred resource. It is the currency of your life. And you are no longer available to have it stolen, drained, or devalued by those who are too cowardly to face their own emptiness. The game is over. The illusion has shattered. And in the silence left behind, you are finally free to hear the sound of your own soul. If this message hit home, if you are ready to stop being a victim and start being the guardian of your own energy, then right now, in the comments, type, "My energy is my own." Let it be a declaration of your sovereignty, a line in the sand, a commitment to yourself that you will no longer betray your own soul in the name of a toxic peace. And if this video gave you something real, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Wise Daily. Every video on this channel is built to give you one thing: the philosophical tools to live with more power, more clarity, and more intention. We'll see you in the next one.